Start. Welcome back guys. Now in this video let's discuss about the secondary messenger mechanisms. Already we have seen the two different types of hormones, the lipid soluble hormones and water soluble hormones, right? In the last video I have taught you that the water soluble hormones uses the secondary messenger mechanisms. Okay, so how to understand the secondary messenger mechanisms? Look at here guys, here I am showing you a cell. Let's say here I am showing you one cell. Now here I am taking a hormone X. Let's say this hormone X is a water soluble hormone. Water soluble hormone, and you know what are the examples of the water soluble hormones? Peptides and amine hormones. Now this X, do you think it can cross this phospholipid bilayer? Do you think it can cross the lipid layer? No, definitely not, because it's a water soluble. So definitely it has to come and act on what? It has to act on a receptor. So here is a receptor, okay, the cell membrane receptor. Now this X is coming and stimulating the receptor. Now once this receptor is activated, now do you know what will happen? Now this receptor is going to activate an enzyme, okay, inside the cell. Now an enzyme is going to be activated. Now once this enzyme is activated, now this enzyme will help in the production of molecules called as the secondary messengers. Now secondary messengers are produced. Now what do these secondary messengers will do? These secondary messengers, they will regulate some reaction inside the cell. Okay, they are going to further activate certain different enzymes, and those enzymes are going to control different reactions inside the cell. Okay, so this is how basically the secondary messenger mechanism works, because the X hormone, these water soluble hormones, as they cannot directly enter into the cell, as they cannot directly mediate a reaction inside the cell, so they are going to take the help of the secondary messengers. So now the secondary messengers, what they will do? They will help in reaction, some reaction. Now the question is, are we having only one type of water soluble hormone? No, there are different examples of water soluble hormones. Okay, there is FSH, LH, ACTH, TSH, okay, atyl natriuretic peptide, oxytocin. These are all examples of water soluble hormones. So the question is, there are different types of water soluble hormones, so there should be different types of secondary messengers. So different types of water soluble hormones produces different types of secondary messengers. So different types of secondary messengers regulate different reactions. Okay, so this is a basic thing to understand. Different types of hormones produces different types of secondary messengers, and these different secondary messengers do different reactions inside the cell. Okay, now keeping this in mind, how many types of secondary messengers are there, sir? There are actually three types of secondary messengers, the main important three ones. See, secondary messengers are of three types: Cyclic AMP, Cyclic GMP and Inositol triphosphate. These are the three secondary messengers. Now the recent exam question was, what is the function of the secondary messenger? What is the function of the secondary messenger? I have taught you the secondary messengers regulate intracellular reactions, not the extracellular reactions, it's the intracellular reactions. So secondary messengers regulate intracellular reactions or some intracellular mechanisms. Done. Now question is, sir, now the cyclic AMP, for example, I am starting with the cyclic AMP. Sir, the cyclic AMP is produced by which hormones? Okay, so which water soluble hormones, or to be specific, which peptide hormones? Okay, which peptide hormones produces the cyclic AMP? Okay, so I am going to give a list, sir. A long list is going to come. So the mnemonic that I am going to use here is, see, the anterior pituitary hormones. See, some hormones coming from the anterior pituitary. Which anterior pituitary hormones? FLAT, flat hormones. All these flat hormones which are coming from the anterior pituitary. Flat stands for what? FSH, LH, ACTH and TSH. All these anterior pituitary hormones, once they are acting on the cells, okay, once they are acting on the cells, what do they produce inside the cell? Which secondary messenger? Cyclic AMP. They are all going to act via the cyclic messenger pathway. Okay, the cyclic AMP pathway. Done. Next, any other hormones? Again, one more mnemonic I am giving you. CAMP, camp. Okay, same, CAMP. The mnemonic itself is CAMP. So what is the CAMP stands for? Calcitonin, parathyroid hormone. So first I am writing calcitonin and parathyroid hormone, because both of them are concerned with what? Both of them are concerned with calcium regulation. Calcitonin, what it will do? It decreases the calcium levels in our body. Parathyroid hormone, what it will do? It will increase the calcium levels in our body. Okay, so these two calcium regulating hormones, like calcitonin and parathyroid hormone, both act with the cyclic AMP pathway. And what is this AM? AM stands for antidiuretic hormone acting on V2 receptor on the kidney. Antidiuretic hormone, when it goes and stimulates the V2 receptors on the cells, they produce cyclic AMP. and M stands for melanocyte stimulating hormone. So all these hormones again produces which secondary messenger inside the cell, guys? Cyclic AMP. Done. Next, the third mnemonic I am giving you. Okay, the third mnemonic are these hormones are also going to act with a cyclic AMP pathway. That is beta HCG. Beta HCG stands for epinephrine acting on beta 1, beta 2 receptors. Epinephrine acting on the beta 1, beta 2 receptors. H stands for histamine. Okay, histamine acting on H2 receptor, histamine acting on H2 receptor, and one more H is there, that is HCG, same beta HCG. Okay, HCG human chorionic gonadotropin. Okay, so histamine as well as HCG both also act with a cyclic AMP pathway, and this C stands for CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone, which is coming from the hypothalamus, and G stands for glucagon. Okay, G stands for glucagon. So all these hormones are also going to activate which pathway, guys? Cyclic AMP, CAMP. So finally here is a list of hormones. All these peptide hormones, they are all going to activate which pathway? Cyclic AMP pathway. So you have to, must and should, you have to know this list. Now students will have it out. Sir, okay, cyclic AMP is produced inside the cell. Now what the cyclic AMP is going to do? I will tell you. Before that, you need to understand. In order to produce the cyclic AMP, see, all these are the hormones. For example, I will take one hormone as an example, FSH. Let me take an FSH as an example. So, okay, here in the place of X, I am keeping FSH. Now, the hormone that I am taking an example, FSH. Now, sir, this FSH, it should come and stimulate the receptor. What is the name of this receptor? What is the name of this receptor? It's called the G protein coupled receptor, mainly GS type, G stimulatory, GS. So, this FSH, LH, ACTH, TSH, melatonin, antidiuretic hormone, histamine, all of them, they are going to act on which receptor, guys? G stimulatory receptor. Okay, when they are acting on the G stimulatory receptor, first I have taught you they are going to activate an enzyme. Which enzyme will be activated, sir? When you stimulate this GS receptor, which enzyme will be activated? The enzyme that will be activated is called as adenylate cyclase. So now this adenylate cyclase will be activated. Now once this adenylate cyclase enzyme will be activated, which secondary messenger is produced? Cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP will be produced. Now what it will do? It will activate a protein called as, or an enzyme called as protein kinase A. Protein kinase A. Okay, it will do some phosphorylations, protein kinase A. So this is what I have written over here. Tell me, in order to produce this a cyclic AMP, what is the receptor required? G stimulatory receptor. What is the enzyme required? Adenylate cyclase. What the cyclic AMP is going to do? Activates protein kinase A. Is going to activate the protein kinase A. Okay, so everything about the cyclic AMP topic done. Next, let's look at the second type of secondary messenger. The second secondary messenger that I am talking here is the cyclic GMP. Now, in order to produce the cyclic GMP, what is the enzyme required, guys? The enzyme that is required is called as a guanylate cyclase. I am not talking about the receptor because not that important. It is a guanylate cyclase, this enzyme. Here it is a adenylate cyclase. Here it is guanylate cyclase. Now, this guanylate cyclase is going to produce an enzyme, secondary messenger called as a cyclic GMP. Now, question is, which hormones produces the cyclic GMP inside the cell? Which hormones include ANP, BNP. ANP full form atrial natriuretic peptide. BNP full form brain natriuretic peptide. What they will do? Atrial natriuresis is going to cause the loss of sodium in the urine. It's going to cause excessive urination. Okay. So, what this ANP and BNP are doing? ANP and BNP are going to produce the cyclic GMP inside the cell. Not only these two, one more substance called as a nitric oxide. Okay, nitric oxide. So, this nitric oxide also going to produce a cyclic GMP inside the cell. See, these things, this atrial natriuretic peptide and nitric oxide, what is something common between them? There's something common between them. They are vasodilators. So, can I say something like this? The hormones which are usually causing the vasodilation, they are all acting via the cyclic GMP. So, cyclic GMP is going to cause vasodilation. And if you can remember, also remember the nitric oxide. Okay, nitric oxide, it is derived from which amino acid? It is derived from arginine. That's also very important for the exams. Nitric oxide is a derivative of L-arginine. Okay, next step. Let's see important points about the inositol triphosphate, IP3. Now, how to understand the inositol triphosphate? Guys, listen. In order to produce this inositol triphosphate, see here there are different hormones, there are different set of hormones which are going to produce the inositol triphosphate. That we will discuss. But in order to produce this inositol triphosphate, what is the receptor required? What is the receptor involved? The receptor is not G stimulatory. Here the receptor is a different receptor which is called as the GQ. And adenylate cyclase produces what? Cyclic AMP. But here the enzyme is different. That is phospholipase C. The enzyme here involved is the phospholipase C. Okay. Now question is, which hormones in our body produces IP3 as a secondary messenger? See, how to remember? All hypothalamic hormones, all hormones which are going to come from the hypothalamus, except one. Okay, in the subsequent videos I will tell you, in the subsequent videos I will show you what are the different hormones coming from the hypothalamus, like GnRH, TRH, growth hormone releasing hormone. Okay, so all the hypothalamic hormones except CRH acts via the IP3 pathway, because CRH I have taught you, CRH is acting via cyclic AMP pathway. So, right, all hypothalamic hormones except CRH acts via the IP3 pathway. Next step, how I used to remember, when I was a student, I used to remember something like this. All hormones or any hormone which is concerned with the vasoconstriction. Okay, vasodilatory hormones, they are producing the cyclic GMP inside the cell. We have seen. But the hormones which are causing the vasoconstriction are the hormones which are concerned with the smooth muscle contraction. See, vasoconstriction also occurs because of the smooth muscle contraction around the blood vessels. So simply remember, wherever you see the word smooth muscle contraction or vasoconstriction, all those hormones are going to act via the which pathway? IP3 pathway, guys. For example, see, what is the function of oxytocin? Uterine contraction, uterine smooth muscles contraction. Antidiuretic hormone, what is the function of the antidiuretic hormone? Antidiuretic hormone, if it is acting on V1 receptors, antidiuretic hormone also called as a vasopressin, causing the vasoconstriction. Next, hormones like histamine. Histamine causes, when histamine is acting on H1 receptor, causing bronchoconstriction. Gastrin causing stomach contractions. Angiotensin 2, in the name itself it is there, angiotensin causing the blood vessel contraction. Cholecystokinin, gallbladder contraction. Epinephrine acting on alpha-1 receptor causing vasoconstriction. So, if you see a hormone causing the vasoconstriction or a smooth muscle contraction, all those hormones are acting via which pathway, guys? IP3 pathway. So, what are the hormones? Gastrin, epinephrine acting on the alpha-1 receptors, antidiuretic hormone acting on the V1 receptors, oxytocin, okay, cholecystokinin, histamine on H1 receptors, all of them are examples of hormones which are producing the IP3. Don't confuse. See, histamine, if it is acting on H1 receptor, it produces IP3. But the same histamine, if it is acting on H2 receptor, it produces a cyclic AMP. Okay, depends on receptor, it will change. Okay, so now finally I can say the hormones which are causing the vasoconstriction. Okay, the hormones which are causing the vasoconstriction are smooth muscle contraction. Okay, so they are all going to produce IP3 as a secondary messenger. Now, can I say something like this? In order to cause the vasoconstriction or smooth muscle contraction, which ions are required? Calcium. So, IP3 is going to increase the which levels inside the cell? Calcium levels inside the cell. So, aiding in vasoconstriction or smooth muscle contraction. So, IP3, inositol triphosphate, acts, okay, inositol triphosphate acts on endoplasmic reticulum. It stimulates the endoplasmic reticulum to increases the release of calcium, to release the calcium into the cell, causing the muscle contraction. So, done. So, with this successfully what we have completed? We have completed the 3 secondary messengers, that is the cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP and IP3. So, all vasodilatory hormones, cyclic GMP. All hormones which are causing the vasoconstriction, IP3. All hypothalamic hormones except CRH, IP3. Okay. Now, after discussing this, let me explain you some exceptions. Okay, some exceptions, you already know about them. Okay. Sir, have I already taught you? What are those water-soluble hormones? There are certain water-soluble hormones, but still they are not acting via the secondary messenger pathway, but via different pathway. What are they? Okay, here I have explained them. See, these are also water-soluble hormones, but they are acting not via the secondary messenger pathway, but via the different pathway. For example, like insulin, water-soluble, but acting via the tyrosine kinase pathway. Prolactin, growth hormone, leptin, water-soluble hormones, peptide hormones, but they are not producing the secondary messengers. They are acting via the Jack-Start mechanism. So, these are the exceptions which I want you to know. Okay. So, with this successfully, what we have completed? The normal secondary messengers topic completed. Now, in your exams, they will ask you. Okay, two MCQs I am going to talk here. See, what is the secondary messenger involved in acid production in the stomach? See, in order to produce the acid in the stomach, what is required? Histamine is required. So, now tell me. Okay, sir, here. Histamine, when it is acting on H2 receptor. Histamine, when it is acting on H2 receptor, what is going to happen? Acid is going to produce in the stomach. So, the secondary messenger involved in the acid production is cyclic AMP. And what about the chlorotoxin? Okay, chlorotoxin. See, whenever you are getting contaminated food or water, you are going to get this cholera into your body, Vibrio cholera, and Vibrio cholera is going to produce the cholera toxin. See, cholera toxin, what it will do? So it's going to enter into our gastrointestinal epithelial cells. After entering into our epithelial cells, gastrointestinal epithelial cells, you know what it will do? It is going to increase the levels of cyclic AMP. So not only these normal physiological hormones, not only these hormones which are normal physiology, certain toxins like cholera toxin. Okay, certain toxins like cholera toxin also going to act via the cyclic AMP pathway. It's also going to increase the cyclic AMP. Okay, so these are the important secondary messengers which I want you to know for your exams. In the next video, we'll be discussing about the anterior pituitary hormones. Hope the video is helpful. Thank you.